coming to the ninth house, when our Chara Atmakaraka or the highest degree planet is in the ninth house, then it can be very strongly indicate that we have to learn some lesson from our father, or we have some karmic debt linked with our father here. So trying to be very good or trying to treat our fathers well becomes very important when this is the case. Regardless if this person's path is completely different and not a link with the father, still trying to be decent to the father, especially when Charatmakaraka is in the ninth house, becomes very important. And one of the strong indicators of Charatmakaraka, of father being the link here, would be, let's say, sun being the Charatmakaraka or the highest degree planet and being in the ninth house. That can be a strong indicator of having some debt or some strong relation with your father. So trying to fulfill anything, let's say trying to fulfill your father's desires will be good. If you have a good bond with your father, then that can be very good. And let's say to figure out if this is not the case, maybe you don't have a strong connection with your father, or your relationship is just average and nothing more or less, or maybe you have had a fight with your father and you have been separated. These can all be the indication that this might not be the path for you or the debt for you. It may be some other point. So whenever it comes to father, if you figured out father is the path here, then trying to be as decent to your father is important. It doesn't have to be very good, like you don't have to work very hard towards having a good relationship with your father. Just being a decent child is more than enough. Being neutral, not bad, not very good, is more than enough. Just being neutral towards your father, like the society expects, the things society expects from a child to provide to a father is more than enough, and that's usually neutral. Yeah, so having good relationship with your father becomes important here. And let's say if father is not treating you well, and that can be because of karma, or that can also indicate that that is not the link here. Yeah, if there is a good relationship, and usually when it comes to 4th house and ninth house, it's usually the case with father and mother when you have a decent or a good bond with your parent. It may be 4th house mother or ninth house father. Yeah. Now moving on to dharma, if this is not the case, then this can be a strong indication too. And I've seen a chart where a person was very dharmic and leading a dharmic life, and they barely had any connection to their father. And this person was very interested in divine things and gods, knowing about the gods, reading Puranas, or performing sadhanas related to gods, maybe Navratri, anything, and performing pujas every day, abhishekas. So this person has a strong indication of dharma, and this person had another indication like having two planets in the 12th house. That was also very strong indication here. Yeah, so that person, two planets being in the 12th house, showed some inclination towards spirituality and detached from the materialistic things. If that is the good, and if that is a good thing. Whereas in this person's case, it was actually very good because they had Mercury in the 12th house, being Libra ascendant. So Mercury was strongly placed in its own house, and Mercury was exalted. So this person was meant to spend some decent amount of time towards spirituality or dharma. Yeah, there are other indications too in this person's chart, but that becomes a bit complex, and we haven't covered those topics yet. So for now, that can be a strong indications. And whenever dharma is the path here or the topic here, when it comes to the ninth house, it's usually not a single indication. Whenever it comes to dharma, it has two or more indications in a person's chart. It's never really single indication. Yeah. So trying to be righteous becomes important. Trying to contribute to dharma becomes important. Trying to uplift dharma in any way, that becomes important. Dharma is just a righteous way of living. Being a decent person. Dharma also shows inclination towards a person's religious practices. Yeah, it can be any religion, but being true to that particular religion becomes important. So yeah, dharma can also show that this person might have to learn some knowledge or gain some knowledge and try to spread wisdom to people. It may be anyone, or in most of the cases it can be understanding dharmic knowledge or wisdom and spreading it to the children can also be one of the things this indicates. Yeah, and it normally shows a strong connection between 5th and the 9th house, because whenever it comes to dharma, it shows intense emotions, not just simple emotions, and it shows emotions towards higher energies or deities or gods or divine things in general. Performing sadhanas can also be a thing. Yeah. So if dharma is the path this person chooses, or if that has the strong indication here, then trying to be as decent as possible and just trying to contribute in some or the other way to dharma and trying to be dharmic in general becomes very important, because 9th house is the house of dharma too. And travel can also be a strong indicator. If let's say moon is the Chara Atmakaraka and it's situated in the 9th house, and if it is also in a watery zodiac sign, then that is a very strong indication of travel. Yeah, and whenever it comes to travel, it can be that you help people travel, like being in a travel agency or something, trying to help people travel in any way, trying to fund people who travel and research on cultures. Yeah, different cultures. Maybe you yourself have to travel to long distance travels. This travel is long distance, not short distance like the 3rd house. This shows long distance like foreign lands. Like let's say you have to go to China or something, China, and study the culture there. That can also be a strong indicator when it comes to travel. Or maybe you just have to record things like their cultural activities and spread them online. That can also be a strong indicator in this case. Yeah, maybe you have to learn some lessons, or maybe you have to perform some things when it comes to travel. You may learn some solid or very strong lessons when you travel. Yeah, travel can also be a very strong indicator, and it's usually long distance travel, and it's usually related to cultural activities or the culture in different lands, in foreign lands especially, because travel shows here in the 9th house, travel shows long distance travel. So if that is the case, then traveling once in a while is going to become very important in this person's life, and if they are in a travel related profession, that is excellent. Yeah, coming to divinity, if the person has some inclination towards gods, some interest towards god or higher energies or divine things, it may be anything. It can be from mantra shastras to performing music. Sorry, not it can be performing dance for the deities. It can be anything. It can be just singing or doing these. I don't know what they are. Sometimes you can see many people compose songs related to gods, these stotras. That can also be an indication here, and it usually varies depending upon the planets. So any inclination towards divinity can be seen through other conditions too. And whenever it comes to dharma and divine things, it's never this single combination. It's always two or more combination, because when it comes to such paths, dharma or divine paths, it usually takes 2 or 3 lifetimes of effort to get into this path directly. And in the first lifetime, it's usually just you changing your way of thinking and accepting that there might be higher energies. That will be a strong indication that you are setting foot in this path. Yeah, that is usually the first birth. For example, when it comes to divine things, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is very well known for being a saint, and that person had to go through 9 births where he failed the sadhana of Kali or Ma Kali. And in the 10th birth, that was this birth, that person finally attained the siddhi of the deity. So that shows how much effort these things require. This is not about working 20-30 years and fulfilling your desires. This is about lifetimes of effort. That's why dharma and divinity, when this is the path, there will be other indications showing that this can also be a path for this person. Yeah. When it comes to charity, let's say a person is into volunteer work or maybe running or just being a part of an organization where they perform charities or donate, or it can be an NGO. Yeah. I'm not sure about these terminologies, but it can be a strong indicator that a charity is the path if this person is directly involved in any of these professions or any of these things linked to any charity, any orphanage, any old age homes, animal shelter. All these things can be a direct indication that this person's path is charity. Just being there, trying to help them physically, spending their energy there. And whenever it comes to the 9th house, this charity is not like the 12th house where you just spend your money or energy. Here it's directly showing that you need to be physically or emotionally there, trying to help anyone in need, because here this house directly shows dharma or dharmic activity. So dharma isn't just in the surface, it should be from the innermost core of this person. So trying to provide for unfortunate people or unfortunate beings, it may be animals, humans, anything. It may be just doing volunteer work for let's say taking care of plants also. That can also be a thing here. So when it comes to charity, it's more of being there, trying to contribute, doing the right thing than compared to just donating money. Yeah. Then coming to ancestors, 9th house is also the house of ancestors. If none of these paths or things have strong indications, and if a person has any doshas also, in especially pitru doshas or anything, like let's say moon and Mars in the 9th house can be a strong indicator. So that is just one of the things. It depends. Let's say if your parents or grandparents are not performing proper duties for the deceased ancestors, then this can be a very strong indicator that you need to learn and or you need to start something for the ancestors, like performing pujas for the ancestors can be a thing if there are any doshas. If not, just performing the proper duties after a person is deceased or our elders are deceased, then performing proper duties becomes very important, especially in those 12 days and the first year. Yeah, if possible in the first year, performing every monthly pujas for the ancestor becomes very important. And if some people, especially in Brahmins, they follow every yearly pujas for a particular ancestor. Let's say, for example, let's say my grandfather has expired, then for the next till I am alive, every year the date or the tithi when this person has expired, my grandfather, then I would be performing pujas for that particular person, not ancestors altogether. Ancestors altogether, almost everyone performs, but this is a different type of puja where we dedicate the entire day or some part of the day when it comes, and we see based on tithis, not let's say date is an English concept, not our concept, and tithis become accurate, tithis are more accurate and become important. And I know this, I'm not a Brahmin, but I do know this because this becomes very important when a person's ninth house is afflicted and especially has Chara Atmakaraka there, and none of these have strong indications, then ancestors may be a very strong indication here. Yeah, ancestors, puja and everything becomes very important, because especially if your parents and grandparents or the elders have not been performing the proper pujas for the ancestors, yearly pujas at the very least, if they have not been performing that, then trying to learn in any way, reading or something, or gaining the knowledge required and trying to perform these pujas every single year becomes very important for this person. And anything discarding the things passed on by especially metals which ancestors have used will carry their energy. Trying to discard these things, donating these things become very important. Yeah, so that can also be a thing for a person who has Chara Atmakaraka in the ninth house. Yeah, in general, when the Chara Atmakaraka is in the ninth house, trying to be as righteous, speaking the truth, behaving in a decent manner, and trying to be decent to the father, performing duties for the ancestors. Maybe if the person has inclination towards God or the higher energies, then trying to gain some knowledge and maybe perform sadhanas will be very good. Being a charitable person is always good. It may be for any person. Being charitable, especially with their effort, time and energy, becomes even more even better, because then you are gaining good karma. So it can be any of these paths. You have to check which will align with you properly and see what you can perform there or do there. With the effort required should be decent, like not too much, not too less. Just having decent amount of efforts towards any of this is more than enough, like a neutral level, as much as you can. I believe this explains the ninth house. Yeah.